It sounded like you were insinuating it's not a major market like New York and Chicago, Toronto. I'm just wondering whether you believe that to be true, whether it's not going to be possible for Seattle to be up among the leaders in payroll going forward.
I screwed up. I said some things inarticulately. And look, I came to this club from Salt Lake because of the ambition of the club, because of the Sounders, because of the 40-year legacy and all of the things that they had done, and I hoped that we could do. If you look at the performance of the club far before me, it's always been one of the best teams in the league. I think we're either first or second in terms of league record over the last decade, longest active playoff streak. So there's a lot of things that that definitely aren't about me, and that the club definitely has that ambition. They've historically always been at worst in the top quarter of the league in spending. We will continue to be there going forward. I expect that we will always be there, which I do think makes us competitive with any market in the league. And again, I think if you look at the spending in the last couple of years, again, we've won a title and made it to a final. So I think we have been competitive. I think we have been on level footing with the Torontos and the New Yorks and stuff like that. So the other thing I'd add is, I totally understand why folks would get shaken by what I said, and I shouldn't have said it. And it was we're gonna make an 8-figure investment this summer in the DP, and we're gonna try to bring in a second player as well. To be totally honest, we've had that plan since the first week of February, and I got frustrated by repeatedly being asked the same questions, and that's not on you guys, that's on me, and I think that's what caused me to melt down a little bit. So not good on my part, but hopefully we can correct the record here. And again, we're trying to win championships. We just tried to win Champions League. We're going to try to win MLS Cup. We're going to compete on all fronts, and I am really excited to be at the Sounders, and really excited to be at a big club like the Sounders, and there's absolutely no reason why we will not continue to be the excellent team that we've been before me and since I've been here.
What were you trying to say on before you screwed up?
Look, I was honestly excited about being in LAFC Stadium. I mean, it was a cool building. They've done a lot of things right. I really like those guys, and the first question in the interview was, tell us about how great the stadium is, and that's what I meant to articulate was, hey, there are all these other great stories, and we don't want to be the only good story in MLS. Like, to our fans, like, if you want to have good competitive games and exciting soccer and grow the league, like, Atlanta's really good and LAFC's really good, and those are all good things. And where I meant to go was the rising tide is lifting all boats, and that's a great thing, and that's a really good thing as a consumer and as a fan of the Sounders, because it means you're going to watch better soccer. And every time we launch and we expand, it strengthens the league and shows you that we have more markets to get into yet, and we're going to get bigger and bigger, and that is really exciting.
And fans talk about having the second biggest or even the biggest crowds traditionally every single year, and how that might correlate to payroll directly. What might that misunderstand about the changing economics of the league as a whole?
Well, look, the fans are our lifeblood, and I meant that too. I mean, the second facet was, I think I came off as taking our fans for granted, but my point was exactly the opposite. It was, I am so appreciative and so grateful for our fan base, because they give us this financial ability to hang in this elite neighborhood. And but look, fan ticket revenue is one aspect of our business. Sponsorship revenue is another. In-stadium revenue is another. To state the obvious, if you own your own stadium, you have more control and more influence over the revenues inside the building on game day. So, and look, those are ancillary things, but look, we our fan base, our ticket revenue is a very big part of who we are, and but we've also striven. Baker, is that a word? Is that a word? The right word?
It is now.
All right. To keep prices reasonable, and as our ticket price as compared to a Toronto or a New York is, or LA for that matter, is quite reasonable. And so we felt that because we want to be inclusive, we want to have a really large fan base. Again, that energy, those folks in the building, that's really important to us. So, is it a prohibitive advantage based on the numbers? Maybe not, again, relative to some of the choices that we have made as a business to try to include our fans and make them part of who we are.
You mentioned the shifting dynamics of the league. What is different about the league landscape now, even compared to where it was when you first came here, in terms of Seattle's standing in the overall hierarchy here?
Look, I want to be clear. I don't know that it's changed in the overall hierarchy, right? I still think that we're in the elite group of clubs, the big clubs in the league. I think that there is more competition now, right? I mean, since I've come, Atlanta has started, and NYCFC, well, NYCFC predated me, but Atlanta and LAFC, let's just stick to the two biggest examples, and Minnesota is another example. And, but Atlanta and LAFC are getting a lot of the press, as they should, and they're building, opening Mercedes-Benz in one case and building their own building in another, and they've done a lot of things right. And there's a lot of, it's fun even like as a GM, because these teams now are investing too in executives and in coaches and in staffs and in infrastructure, and you're just getting better people. Like the conversations you're having are more productive, and everybody's. What's so fun about MLS is that this is another sentiment that I meant to bring out on the weekend, was just we're all in this together. We all see this as a quest to make this the best league in the world, or one of the best leagues in the world. And Americans stink at being second best, and there's not a willingness to accept that we're second best, whether at the Sounders or as a league. And collectively, when you get these things, when the landscape evolves and you get an LAFC and you get Atlanta, that makes us all better, and that's great.
The Sounders traditionally have gotten most of their revenues, as you said, through ticket sales, whereas some of these other teams you mentioned are now generating their revenues via stadiums, via sponsorships, and in-stadium revenues. I mean, how much of a concern is that going forward for the Sounders, that you'll have to find alternative streams to keep pace with some of that, since you don't have your own stadium?
Look, I think right now it's focusing on running the best possible business we can in a responsible manner. We have a long-term lease at CenturyLink, so to a large degree, these questions are purely academic. We have really good partners in the Seahawks. We enjoy that relationship. So, look, are we always looking for ways to generate more revenue while also treating our customers fairly? Yes, we are. Does more competition make things more competitive on the financial as well as the sporting side? Absolutely, it does. But again, this is I said this on the weekend too. That makes the job fun. That's part of the challenge. That gets you out of bed in the morning to say, hey, how do we do this a little bit better? How do we do it a little bit more efficiently?
But was there any part of what you said, meaning that being competitive in the league and keeping the hierarchy of this team could be done in other ways rather than going dollar for dollar with teams that maybe have a bigger budget or backup economically?
Yeah, look, I think that's a great point, Nico. And what I would say is this, like as compared to, say, an Atlanta or an LAFC, again, take just we've talked. Sorry, Jeff. We've taken those examples a bunch. Our academy's in a better place than theirs is. We've invested. We've tripled now our player development investment between us two and between the academy. We are starting to get some really, really good kids in there. Our 17-year-old group is now one of the elite academies in the United States. And we've done this in 3 years. So, the project takes 5, 6, 7 years before it'll trickle up to the first team. But you're seeing us now. We started off signing, 20-year-old kids out of college. We're now signing 15-year-olds. So the cycle is accelerating there, and we have an advantage in that space over some of these guys who maybe are starting out new in a new stadium and have some other advantages. So that's to go back to Matt's question, there's not like a hierarchy where like they're better, and I think we have different strengths that are relative to our market, and I think we've made some smart strategic investments long term. It's obviously a self-serving thing of me to say, but I'm grateful for our owners that they've been willing to back that part of it and to invest in player development, because I think that's a big part of who we're going to be going forward.
Garth, the American primary transfer window is open so late compared to the rest of the world. Can you discuss a little bit what the real difference is between trying to get a guy now, or I should say maybe 24 hours ago, as compared to when the secondary transfer window opens over the summer?
Yeah, look, again, to go back to what I said, like, we have a window, we have an opening. Like, I understand it's open until May and you can add guys and things happen, but in a World Cup year, virtually, I don't want to say no one switches, but there are always exceptions. But the market is very, very slow because very few people are willing to switch countries and take on a new project and a new adventure with a World Cup place at stake. In terms of, and that's not every country, but that impacts the market very broadly every 4 years. And so for us, we felt like we had an opportunity in the first week or so of February, once the European transfer window closed. And in fact, we made an offer to a player, and we wound up closing the deal, and the player wound up walking away. So, we were almost there, and that happens. That's 90% of deals, 99% of deals. Probably that's the way it goes. But once that opportunity passed in early February, yeah, the window was open. But again, if you're talking about making a good long-term investment for the club, a 3 to 5 year investment, you just can't, like, no matter how tempting it is, you got to almost resist the ability, the desire to just go for the candy in front of you and be patient and wait and make a good decision. And because the converse, by the way, is also true. Once the World Cup ends, now the market floods with players because everybody, this pent-up demand that because no one has moved for 6 months, now all of it opens up. And now everybody is willing to switch because they've reached this pinnacle of their career, their high point. They played in the World Cup, and now they're ready to take things on. So I think everything works in our favor once the World Cup happens. So.